Developed and published by Nintendo, Wave Race 64 would be the product of Shigeru Miyamoto. You know, the guy that created Mario and Zelda. Originally, the title was to be a futuristic boat racing game, even being compared to the likes of F-Zero. Fans saw a preview of the game at the 1995 Shoshinkai show. However, Miyamoto decided to change the direction of the game shortly after, stating that, "Boats looked pretty good at the show, but I didn't think that Wave Race 64 would be unique from similar games on other systems if we used boats. Jet skis can show many maneuvers that work well in the realistic water of Wave Race 64. The idea to implement jet skis was actually suggested by one of the founders of the video game developer Rare, Tim Stamper. But the idea of a racing game featuring jet skis wasn't new to Miyamoto or Nintendo. In July of 1992, Wave Race was released for the Game Boy, selling enough copies to certify as a player's choice title. But how would a top-down 2D racer translate to the brand new 3D hardware of the Nintendo 64? This would prove a challenging task for the development team at Nintendo, as they didn't have much exposure to the new Silicon graphics tools and were accustomed to making two-dimensional games. But after quite a bit of experimentation, learning from trial and error, they were able to create something special, innovative, and exciting for those racing game fans waiting to get their hands on the very first title in the genre to be released on the 64-bit platform. And on November 1st, 1996, Wave Race 64 would hit store shelves in the US as only the third game in the N64 lineup. Upon flipping on that power switch, it's clear to see that a lot of time, effort, and pride went into this game. That's evident from even the opening sequence, complete with its stunning visuals and memorable theme song. In fact, all the music in this game is fantastic. Composition was handled by Kazumi Tataka, whose work was previously featured on titles such as Mario Paint, Super Mario Land 2, and Link's Awakening, amongst others. Moving forward, he would provide music for Yoshi's Story, Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, and more. This soundtrack is just so fitting. It's a little loungy at times with hints of jazz, 80s synth, and rock-influenced guitar. In addition to the music, we get a wonderful array of sound effects and commentary from the game's cheery announcer. Visually, the game was praised by critics for everything from level designs to character and jet ski models. But one of the most talked about graphical feats of the game would be the waves. This was something that the developers spent a lot of their time on, knowing that this was going to be an important aspect of the gameplay. Not only their visual appearance, but also their physics. The way in which a player's watercraft interacts with any singular wave can manipulate their speed and direction, making maneuvering these waters more strategic than a standard road racing game. Doug Perry from IGN commented, "The way in which jet skis cut into the ocean's surface, lift off ramps, bounce into and off oncoming waves, or slide on icy surfaces is not only believable and engaging, but simply unparalleled." And I have to say, even myself as a kid was amazed by the feel of these machines. They felt so heavy and unpredictable, yet somehow completely controllable at the same time. While Super Mario 64 really emphasized the value of an analog stick in regards to 3D platformers, Wave Race 64 did the same for racers. The genre had primarily been paired with the directional pad since the beginning of console gaming, but the Nintendo 64's innovative controller would allow for an all-new experience. As expected, moving the control stick to either the left or right will steer your watercraft in that direction. In addition, the player could also lean the jet ski back and tilt it forward, affecting the way it interacts with the raging waves. For tight turns, press the control stick down and towards the direction you want to steer for cornering. And stunts can also be performed with the control stick by following specific commands, like tilting it up and then down while in the air to perform a flip. The N64 controller didn't work well for every game, but when they got it right, it was like a perfect pairing, and this is a prime example of that. Not only will you contend with the waves and other racers that you're up against, But you also need to pay close attention to the buoys located throughout each level. Red buoys need to be passed on the right, while yellow need to be passed on the left. As races progress and buoys are successfully passed, you'll gain points that add to your watercraft's overall speed, but miss a buoy and you'll lose these points, slowing your player down a bit. In addition, missing 5 of these buoys in a race will result in a loss. You must also keep within the track boundaries, as exiting the area can also result in a disqualification. There are 9 total courses here, with levels ranging from sunny beaches to stormy shipyards. You'll see beautiful sunsets, starry night skies, and dark, ominous clouds. Visually, they're very diverse, as are their layouts, with some simply consisting of oval courses, while others are more complex, moving in and out of different tunnels and around large obstacles. There's even a practice stage called Dolphin Park, where you can freely roam around, ride with the dolphins, and practice stunts. While the game only offers 4 different rider and jet ski combinations, each one does feature unique attributes, which results in a distinctive difference between them. Ryota Hayami is the most balanced overall. Dave Mariner is the biggest but suffers from poor handling, grip, and acceleration. What he lacks in those categories, however, he makes up in top speed. Ayumi Stewart is the smallest with the slowest overall speed, but the best handling and acceleration. And Miles Jeter, or maybe it's Jeter, which would be more fitting, features the quickest steering response but the worst grip. I think it's safe to say that every fan of the title has their favorite racer based on their preferences. There's also the option to fine-tune their attributes for a more customized rider, as well as the ability to select from alternate colors and designs. Oh, and you can change their names if you'd like to, as well, as I did back in 1998, and they're still saved to the cart to this very day. While there are options for time trials, multiplayer, and even a stunt mode where you earn points for racing through rings and successfully performing tricks, the main mode of play here is the Championship mode. Here you'll compete in a series of races, earning points upon completion. Earn a certain amount of points and you'll unlock the next difficulty. And this can actually get pretty tough. Not only do the opponents get more skilled as you progress, but you'll also battle new stage hazards like floating spiked balls that can knock you off your jet ski, new alternative routes that open up which are trickier to navigate but offer the reward of quicker lap times, and even more buoys scattered throughout each level. Eventually you'll finish this mode racing all of the tracks in reverse, which is challenging after playing them over and over again in the traditional sense. I would say though that this added level of difficulty does add some longevity to a game that doesn't otherwise feature the depth we would become accustomed to as gaming would progress. By December of 1997, Wave Race 64 would sell over 1 million copies in the US alone. In March of 1997, it was picked by the editor staff of Electronic Gaming Monthly as the best sports title of the year. Yeah, I know, sports title, there's a fine line there. IGN would name it 37th in their top 100 best games of all time. To this day, it's still technically one of the most advanced N64 titles ever created. A few other developers would tackle the jet ski genre, but little had much success, let alone even close to what we saw here. We would receive a sequel on the GameCube, re-releases on the Wii and Wii U, character cameos in the Smash Bros. Series, and a dedicated speedrunning community that put the average players to shame. I mean, think about this for a minute. It's a jet ski racing game, and it did all that. I mean, we're not talking about Zelda or Castlevania or Mario, but a jet ski game. And if this review comes across as a love letter to this game, well, you're damn right. Because I love this game. As a die-hard racing game fan, a die-hard Nintendo 64 fan, and for the memories I have of being a 12-year-old boy sitting in front of the old CRT and forgetting all the problems of my day while I cut through the waves at breakneck speeds listening to that cheesy soundtrack and overly happy-sounding announcer, this game will always have a special place on my gaming shelf. Will we ever see a new game in the series? Well, back in 2018 it was looking like it, but who knows now. If you're looking for an alternative, there's always Aquamoto Racing Utopia, which is a more current release that pays tribute to Wave Race 64, right down to swimming with the dolphins and even the level designs. And there are always the handful of older games like the Splashdown series. How many of you guys grew up with this one? Did it leave a lasting impression on you? If you didn't like the game, I'm interested to hear why. Thanks for those of you that watched this one till the end. I know that this video isn't gonna get the views that the wrestling game reviews get, but I really wanted to cover it just due to my fantastic memories with this one. Anyway, I hope to see all of you for my next video, and until then, Auf Wiedersehen.